This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Without a healthy mind, being happy is hard. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny and see if online therapy is for you.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Kinda Funny Xcast, your home for all things Xbox here at Kinda Funny. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today we got a little bit of a switch up right now. We got our one gaming dad and his two gaming sons, Barrett and Mike, are here alongside Mr. Gary Witta. Gary, it's all about you this week. Parris Lilly had to take a quick step off of the podcast late this afternoon, so you're in charge. And I want us to know, how was your week, Gary?
I had a great way. I feel like we started this podcast like half an hour ago because me and Barrett have just been kind of talking about video games and having a great time. Almost wish we'd been recording because we've already, we started the podcast like half an hour before we actually hit record, just chatting about what we've been playing, what we want to play this weekend. I'm excited. We just said there's almost too many games out there right now. I'm looking right in front of me right now at the Xbox app on my PC, like all the stuff that just dropped on Game Pass. I'm sure we'll talk about some of them, like Hades, Art of Rally, Boyfriend Dungeon, Dodgeball Academia. I've been playing some Lumines Remastered this past week.
Ooh.
It's all popping off. There's just too much good stuff.
It is popping off, and this week is going to be popping off because we're going to be having fun with you, Gary. And like you said, we were talking life, love, video games with you, so it's always been fun. But filling in for the one, the only Mr. Parris Lilly is our producer, Barrett Courtney, on the ones and twos, jumping on the cam to fill in at the last moment. So thank you, Barrett. How are you feeling today, my friend?
I'm feeling good. I just figured, Parris is off doing much more important things, and I figured, you were gonna have me talk about some video games today anyway. I figured let's hang out. Let's talk about some video games. Let's get on the camera and talk about some Xbox, Mikey.
Yeah, no doubt.
To see you on the camera, but you've got the cool setup there. I'm digging the streaming setup you've got. It's nice to see you creeping out from behind the scenes. You should be in front of the camera more. I like this.
I have been, Gary, and that kind of relates to something that we'll be talking about soon under what we've been playing, Mikey.
Yes, we will be talking about that. So before we get to what we've been playing, I wanted to share a little fun one to make you all laugh. Guys, it turns out that the Halo bots and Halo Infinite weren't actually trying to teabag players during that tech flight weekend, of course, known as the tactical crouch to some or the teabag to many. We had a fun article come out from Eurogamer, the developers over at 343. They went on to say that is not actually happening. Seems like a small motion bug where those bots were actually trying to get up and mantle certain things. And it just kind of looked like they were giving certain players a tactical crouch. Do you think, Barrett, that they actually implemented that and they want to make sure people understand how it's going to go?
Maybe, like they wanted to just give a taste of what the real thing is really going to be like when we all eventually start playing Halo Infinite multiplayer, whenever it decides to drop, right? So, yeah, I think they wanted to, give it a little taste of like, hey, this is what this is going to be like. This is what it was back like in the Halo 3 days when we were all playing and stuff like that. So, just here's a little bit of what to expect.
I mean, listen, the whole point of programming a bot, right, is to simulate playing against a human as closely as possible. So if you want to get as close to that as you can, you got to have a bit of toxicity. You got to have a little bit of teabagging. I imagine it's an easy thing to program in. If kill player, run to player, and teabag him.
Yeah, they put in the toxicity code. They're just like, all right, toxicity up to level 100%. Nailed it.
For Spartan level bots only do that.
Oh, yeah, I like that. So a little cheeky fun right there. Of course, a lot of players are sharing some of their video highlights from the technical preview. And it might have been seen that a couple of bots were giving some players a tactical crouch, but 343 says that was not intentional, and we most likely will not see that anymore. Or maybe we will. If Barrett thinks that's right, maybe it's a conspiracy that we'll see later on, which I hope we do, because I think it's really fun. Of course, let's jump into the show. Some housekeeping news for you. This is the Kinda Funny Xcast. We post each and every Saturday at 6 a.m. West Coast, Best Coast time on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and on podcast services around the globe. Remember to please go out and subscribe to all of our incredible YouTube channels, youtube.com youtube.com/kindafunny, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, and our newest, latest, and greatest YouTube channel, youtube.com/kindafunnyplays. Of course, if you don't know, each and every weekday on Twitch, we bring you the nerdy video game news you need to know about with Kinda Funny Games Daily. And then afterwards, we hang out with our incredible community. We stream some games each and every weekday afterwards for about 2 to 3 hours. And we post all of that VOD content of the streams over on our newest channel, youtube.com/kindafunnyplays. So if you want to check out some really fun gameplay from me and Nick, acting like a bunch of jabronis, to me, Nick, Andy, and our friends playing some awesome first-person shooters, to Blessing showing us brand new indie games, Greg just being Greg, or the latest and greatest, me and Barrett experiencing Metal Gear Solid for the first time ever. All of those videos are up on the YouTube channel right now. Of course, that might be a little hint on what me and Barrett will talk about in just a little bit. But we'd like to thank our Patreon producers for the month of August. Thank you to Julian, the gluten-free gamer, James Hastings, Casey Andrews, Elliot, and Brian Ward. Of course, this episode of the Kinda Funny Xcast is sponsored by Upstart, Honey, and Sennheiser. But the team will tell you all about that in a little bit. Guys, let's jump right into the show. And you know what? I want to talk about what we've been playing, because like Gary said, there's too many games, y'all. We got all the awesome games out here, and I'm finding a tough time picking which one to choose. I'm missing Halo a lot, and I'm having like a tough time playing anything that's not Halo related. So Gary, I'll let you kick it off, because I'm sure you got some crazy game you want to tell me about. So what have you been playing?
I've been jumping around a lot. You know, I'm a platform agnostic gamer. This morning I was playing some, checking out the new Donk City DLC for Mario Golf. You know, very excited to see some new courses. Nintendo keeping up its promise to support that game with DLC. Got my first hole-in-one ever in Mario Golf. Thank you very much. Came close by inches on several occasions. Finally got one today. Excited about that. Let me see what else. On the Xbox side, Lumines Remastered. I loved it on the PS. Pretty much the only, when I bought a PSP back in the day, pretty much the only game I ever really played on it. I loved Lumines. That music it took me right back to that place. You know, the whatever it is, that kind of dancey type song that plays over the first level. I got right back into it. Loving Lumines Remastered right now. It's hard as hell. That's what I remember about Lumines. Really, really tough game. What else have I been doing? Doing some retro stuff. Over on the X. This is funny. It's like emulation within emulation, right? In emulationception. I wanted to play some retro games, and so I went and found this game called this old title from the Xbox 360 days called Midway Arcade Origins, where they kind of, you know, it's like 30 different kind of, you know, classic arcade titles from back in the day. So I've got my Series X emulating an Xbox 360, which in turn is emulating all this old arcade hardware from back in the day. So I've been playing some like real old school favorites: Defender, Joust, Gauntlet, Rampage, some of my favorite games from my youth. And this was the big revelation that I had. I picked up this thing on Steam called Sega Genesis and Mega Drive Classics. I don't know if you played this one, but it has like a massive library of all the old Genesis Mega Drive games. And me and a buddy of mine were playing some Streets of Rage over the weekend. We checked out the whole, you know, the original Streets of Rage trilogy. And I'm pushing 50, and you think when you get to my age, right, you become very set in your ways. Very hard to change the opinions that you've held for a long time. I always believed, in the 16-bit generation, I always believed, and I'll have this argument with anyone, I always believed the Super Nintendo was the superior system to the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. And as part of that, I always kind of believed that Final Fight was the better brawler than Streets of Rage. But I went back and revisited Final Fight through another thing that's called Capcom Arcade Stadium that came out recently. Played some Final Fight, then hopped over to the Genesis emulator, played some Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3. I gotta say, I'm changing my opinion. I think Streets of Rage was the better game. I think Streets of Rage is better than Final Fight. So I don't know. Go nuts in the YouTube comments. Have at it. I won't be checking them. Burn me in effigy. Do whatever you got to do. I don't mean to split the fan base here. But I've just been having a blast playing these old retro games. And then, you know, this may be a separate conversation, but looking forward, I'm just looking at what's on my Xbox app right now. But, you know, it's Hades, Art of Rally that you and I were talking about before the show, Mike Boyfriend Dungeon, Dodgeball Academia that Mike, you just turned me on to. I'm still playing Death's Door. Like you said, there's just too much good stuff.
Okay,
There's
all right. Then Gary, let me
day.
focus you. Then let me focus you here.
Okay.
I want an update on Death's Door, and then I want you to tell me about Boyfriend Dungeon.
I haven't made it. I'll be honest with you. I haven't made a ton of progress with Death's Door since I was streaming it. I think last week.
Okay.
The one thing my and again, I don't care about achievements. I've just never played a game that is so stingy with achievements. I've killed 5 bosses.
He doesn't.
The bosses
He doesn't
in
like
this
it.
game they're goddamn hard bosses. They will not give me one single achievement. It's ridiculous.
Are you sure that you fought 5 bosses, or maybe like 2 normal bosses and maybe like 3 mini bosses?
I mean, look, to me, a boss. If it takes me 20 times to beat it, I'm calling it a boss. But I am still loving it. I think this one. It's obviously it's not a Game Pass title, but it's one of the better games on the Xbox right now. And aside from PC, it is an Xbox console exclusive. I'm loving it. It's beautiful. The art design, the music, the whole vibe, just the gameplay. I mentioned this I think last time we talked about Death's Door. I usually don't like games that are more punishing, that really kind of like 15, 20, 30 times to beat a boss. I usually get frustrated and rage quit. But they've got the difficulty level set just right, where it's like, fuck this game. Let me have just one more try.
Yeah.
And that's the sweet spot where you want to be.
Because
it's
hard
it into perfection.
But it feels good. I've beaten the game, and I miss going back to it. I gave up on doing the 100% because there's and getting the true
umbrella
ending
thing.
Because there's no, not the umbrella thing, not getting all the achievements, but there's a lot of things that you have to do in post game to get the true ending. And there is one activity that there's no good way to track like how many of these items that you're collecting. I'm being vague on purpose just to not spoil it for anybody. But like once I got to that, I was like, I'll just watch the true ending on a YouTube video or something like that. So, but it is one of those things where like I do miss playing that game. Like the combat is so satisfying. Taking a chunk out of just like normal enemies, and like when they fall down, like a splash of blood comes out and stuff like that. And taking on like some of the bosses, like the boss fights are impeccable.
And that's the great feel. That's the great vibe. Is 20, 30 times to beat a boss, but like when you do finally down one, it is like you feel like you earned it. Like you feel like that real sense of triumph. The ending thing, because I've been thinking about this, I heard about people saying, the true ending. I know a lot of games do this, right? Games have multiple endings, and there's almost like different tiers of endings. Like the more comprehensively you beat the game, the truer the ending you get. And I guess that's kind of cool, but it always makes me feel like a little bit anxious. Like if I beat the game, but wait, did I get the best possible ending, or do I need to go on YouTube and see if there's like a better ending out there? I always worry about like what didn't I see, when there's multiple endings.
Gary, you're playing all the games that I want to play, and I like hearing that as well. I wish I could sit down and play all the retro games with the Gary. That's what
you got to do it.
When you talk
Let's
about
play
those.
some Streets of Rage. We'll hook it up on Steam Remote Play. We'll play some Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3.
Gary, have you played Streets of Rage 4 yet?
No, let's do that too. I've got it here.
Lit.
I played the first couple of levels of it on. I think I've got it on Xbox. Let's play some. Let's do all of it. Let's do the Streets of Rage quadrilogy. I'm down for all of it.
Gary, would have write me in. Let's do it. Let's check in with Barrett. Barrett, what have you been playing?
Mike, it's been hard to not play Metal Gear Solid off stream. I'm just gonna be honest, right? We've been streaming our very first playthrough of the Metal Gear Solid series. We've wrapped up Metal Gear Solid 1 last week. We started Metal Gear Solid 2 this last Thursday. We wrapped up our second stream of Metal Gear Solid 2 just a couple of hours ago. It's everything on my mind right now. We just got to the big kind of spoilers for this game that came out 20 years ago. We just got to that big twist where we're no longer playing as Solid Snake. We're playing as this dude Raiden. I forget how to say his name, but it's this blonde kid, a youngin who has only done VR missions. This seems to be his like first kind of major mission, and we're trying to defuse these bombs. I'm in love with this series, and we're only 2 games in, and I'm really digging it with like all the stealth mechanics, and like it was cool to go back to the first one and kind of see of like kind of where the stealth gameplay like really took a turn for like the modern age and modern development and stuff like that. And to pull up Metal Gear Solid 2 and see the jump between 1 and 2 has just been mind-blowing, because I love a lot of modern day stealth games. Like I talked about Dishonored all the time and stuff like that, and so it's been cool to like go to a game that's 20 years old that was thinking way ahead of its time when it comes to stealth mechanics and level design and all that stuff. And like you've been saying, Mikey, for the last week, it's just like, let's just cancel all the shows. Let's just binge stream through these games because it's all I can freaking think about. So, I'll give you the floor for Metal Gear Solid 2 in just a second. I just wanted to shout out, although I haven't been playing it on Xbox, shout out to the Hades releasing to other consoles. I booted it up on my PS5, playing it on the LG OLED, 4K 60 frames per second, all that stuff. I think it's really cool. I'm excited mainly for more people to be able to play Hades, especially with it on Game Pass. I think that's really awesome. My preference still is to have it on the handheld. I love having that on the Switch. Hades is like my go-to. Like, we're laying in bed, Alyssa's watching something on the TV, and I'm doing a couple runs in Hades. But I think that's just like kind of like my, not Hades specific, but maybe just kind of like roguelike kind of vibe of like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a couple runs, and I would like to have it on my Switch and stuff. But that's just my takeaway, and that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much all I've been playing that that is relevant today.
Okay. I like that. And, I get to piggyback off of you with Metal Gear Solid. I will take a quick moment and put a pin on that one, right, with Hades. Whatever you're doing right now, whether you're listening or watching, if you're driving your car right now, you need to pull off into the shoulder, put the hazard lights on, and just start playing Hades any way you can get it, because that game is phenomenal, and it's going to bring all the hype right now coming to another batch of consoles, which is really exciting to see, and I can't wait to get some runs under my belt. To jump back on the Metal Gear Solid really quick, Gary, let me tell you what. This guy, Hideo Kojima, he's doing something, okay? He's building something. I'm digging it. Here's the funny part.
He's going to be a big name one day.
I feel like he can really make a name for himself if he keeps at it.
Gary Whitta, this guy's going to be huge one day. Let me tell you what, Gary. For me and Barrett to be experiencing this for the first time, and this really be my first Hideo Kojima joint, that's a little Spike Lee joint for you, Gary Whitta. I know you got that.
Oh, yeah, I got your cinematic references, Mike.
Truly something special there, where I'm blown away by the storytelling, the music, the characters, the plot twists, the gameplay. I'm having so much fun with it. And I don't think I've ever been captured by a game and a franchise like this since Halo back as a teenager, into Gears of War, into young adulthood, for me being such a big Xbox guy. And, when I looked back on the dates like me and Barrett have with Metal Gear Solid, I was playing completely different games than this. And so now we get to jump in and we see what the acclaim, the prestige of this gentleman and his team's name is all about, right? And I'm truly blown away. And it gets me even more excited now of possibly hearing, if we're bringing it back to Xbox, that rumor, that murmur through the grapevines that maybe him and Phil are signing a contract to make something special over on the Xbox side. I think that will be really cool. But Gary, this Metal Gear Solid franchise is special. From 1 into 2 of what we've played, Solid Snake, all of the characters he's faced off against is so much fun. The phone calls, right, where people are calling in and they're all having these conversations with him, and you walk 5 steps, another conversation. Everybody wants to see Snake succeed, and then all of a sudden when we think Snake is succeeding, plot twist. And he just keep hitting with it, Gary, and it's so much fun. And I'm really happy to share that with Barrett. And I guess since you're here, Gary, we should ask, what is your familiarization with Metal Gear? Is this big for you? Is it not big? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Actually, before I've got a lot to say about Metal Gear. Before I move on to that, just one quick thing to pick up on what Barrett was saying about wanting to be able to play Hades in a handheld format. Phil Spencer actually made did an interesting tweet today about Hades, saying that it's actually, he said he recommends trying it on your cell phone with the cloud streaming with touch controls. So I'm not the biggest touch controls guy, but I feel like if it's going to work with any kind of game, Hades might be the kind of game where it's going to work. So Barrett, if you've got that Game Pass sub, maybe try getting Hades on your phone.
Grab your phone and turn it on.
Yeah, grab your phone.
I would recommend. Going. I don't have it to show off, but I have like the.
Do you have like the Kishi or something, or
the other one that Greg?
The
backbone. Yeah, well, I would highly recommend that because I personally hate touch controls with a passion. So if you've got like a backbone or something, I highly recommend it. And yeah, if you use
that could be the handheld Hades solution you're looking for.
Yeah.
On Metal Gear. I've never been a big Metal Gear guy. I'm not up to date on the most recent ones, but I will tell you that Metal Gear 2 was probably my most played game of that PlayStation 2 generation. It was one of the few PlayStation 2 games that I finished all the way to the end, clocked it, beat it, did the whole thing, saw the end cinematic, loved every minute of it. It's interesting. I remember if I'm right in remembering this, the interesting thing about Raiden, because you mentioned playing as another character, you actually play the majority of the game as that character. Like he's the main character you play in the game, I think. And I just thought that was like a really ballsy. Everyone loves Solid Snake, and then Kojima's like, "Yeah, but now you're going to be a different guy in this next game." That's going to be a very ballsy move. Like he's there, Solid Snake is there, but like this Raiden character ends up kind of being the guy, as I recall, and this is 20 years ago. You play that the most. My abiding memory of it, and since you've been playing it recently, you'll remember this better than me. Is there's a big chunk of the game that takes place on like a big ocean platform, or it's like a big oil rig. I loved that whole section of the game was just so much fun. I loved every minute of it.
We just started that segment today as well.
Oh my god, so good. And I would, again, no spoilers or anything, and if you know anything about Metal Gear Hideo Kojima, you probably already predict this. I will say this as someone who did finish it back in the day and remembers this: get ready for that game to get weird in the final stretch, in the final like the end part of the game, like the last hour of the game. You are going to be understanding fully why Kojima has this reputation of like, yes, he's a genius, but at the same time, what the fuck is this guy on?
I mean, like we were an hour into the stream today, Mike. We were just like, we were already at that level of like, this is getting weird. Revolver Ocelot's here, but maybe his brain is being taken over by Liquid Snake. What the heck is going on? There's so many threads to follow. It was such a fun time.
There is so much.
I'm ready to be.
There's like a big cinematic expedition dump thing at the end where it's like it's just layers upon layers of what the fuck is
I'm excited
because saying to me right now
we played through Metal Gear Solid 1, and you know, like everybody does the joke of like Metal Gear Solid and Kingdom Hearts are essentially the same because they're so batshit insane and so absurd and all of this stuff. And like when we finished Metal Gear Solid 1, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, there were some like weird names and there's like some weird powers that people have, but that wasn't like this like holy crap, like things are getting weird and you know there's shadows of other people and all this stuff. Like I wasn't like, oh man, this is like the weirdest thing I've ever played before. And then like an hour into today's stream for Metal Gear Solid 2, we started scratching the surface, Mike. I felt of just like, oh, we're getting into some weird territory with this series, and I can't wait, man. I can't wait for next week.
And people in the comments will tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right in saying that, like, not necessarily on a technical level, because obviously PlayStation 3, 4, you know, the games got technically way better, graphically way better in future iterations. But I think like as from a game perspective, I think the series peaked with 2. I don't think 3, 4, and 5 ever got better than that, did they? I feel like Metal Gear 2 is still like
I know
the favorite.
Blessing
It's like the Empire
Adeoye
Strikes Back of the series.
I know Blessing Adeoye Jr. would throw in Metal Gear Solid 5. I think he said before that is his favorite stealth game of all time, just from a gameplay standpoint. I know there's like story stuff in there with the whole like quote unquote like third act of that game that kind of went down the drain. But from what I understand, like Metal Gear Solid 5 is a technically very, very great game. So I'm excited to see how it evolves, but yeah, like the jump from 1 to 2 definitely, Gary, has been like, wow, this game is really impressive for coming out in 2001 on the PlayStation 2.
Oh. Do you think there'll ever be another Metal Gear game? Because like Kojima's out of it, Konami doesn't even really make games anymore. Do you think the Metal Gear series is done?
Yeah. I would like, I think the most we ever get is maybe, you know, there's been the rumors of maybe a remake of the first one. And like, you know, there's that Metal Gear Solid movie that's been being made for the last 100 years or whatever it's been. And so like I could see maybe a remake coming out around the time of the movie whenever that comes out, and I think that might be the most we ever get. But that's just me talking out of my butt and throwing things out there in the universe.
There's just to bring this back to the Xbox in particular. I'm looking right now in the Microsoft Store. Metal Gear Solid HD remasters 2 and 3 for $20 right now. That's pretty good combo.
Yeah, I had to play the first one on GOG on PC. That's how we played Metal Gear Solid 1, and then there was no like perfect with the consoles that I had. There was no great way, which is to play the rest of the series. It was nice that I ended up getting the Xbox Series S because the 2, 3, and I think Peace Walker are all on there backwards compatible. So yeah, that'll help us out a lot while we go through this series playthrough for the first time.
How are you liking that Series S now? You've been living with it for a while.
I've been loving it. It is one of those things where I'm going around jumping around between a lot of consoles, and even with that, I don't feel like I've been gaming a hell of a lot lately. Series S for like the last week has definitely just been my Skate 3 console right now, because when we want to watch something but I want to play something at the same time, it's nice to just boot up the Series S here and skate around a little bit. And it's been great to have for Metal Gear for sure, and not have to play it on PC and remap all of my Xbox controls and stuff like that. But yeah, like there's so many games that I want to check out. Like I know Mike has been playing Dodgeball Academia. I think I want to download. I think I downloaded that on Game Pass, so I've got that. I've been playing replaying Wolfenstein, the New Colossus. And so that's been fun to go back to.
Great game.
Yeah, and so it's just like it's a fun little console to just kind of like mess around, and one of the great things is the quick resume feature, which I experienced for the first time like a couple of days ago, where I didn't even do it. Like I loaded up Skate 3 and it brought me back to like right where I loaded was in my last play session. I was like, whoa. This is weird. Like it felt
It's
like
the future,
it felt unnatural almost. Of like, oh, I feel like I used a cheat code to make this load like instantly, which was really fun. So I love having it at my desk. It fits nicely like right here, and playing on my 1440p monitor, which it can output at 1440p, which is really nice. It's been fun. I personally like I like playing the games on the PC just with like the higher like asset quality kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into the nitty gritty with like the new games and stuff. So I've been liking my Series S for being able to go back to old school games. That's what I'll say right now. And
there you go.
It's been a really rad time so far.
By the way, I know this is all over we're all over the place. It's very loose
We're all
shape
over the
for
place
podcast this week, but what the hell? It's Friday. When you asked me what I was playing, I actually forgot a big one. We finally did get Microsoft Flight Simulator running on the Series X on the big screen with the flight stick and the throttle and the pedals and the whole thing. There's a bunch of it. So once you download the game, that's the base game. But you can go download these like different scenic packs, and I downloaded like the San Francisco and the Europe pack, so we could do those discovery flights over my twin home cities of San Francisco and London. It really, on a Series X on that LG OLED, I know Barrett's got roughly the same TV, that big 65-inch OLED screen, 4K. Yeah. It's astonishing. Like if you want to have one game, if somebody says to me like, show me what the Series X can do, this is the game you would show them. And it's jaw-dropping. It's incredible. My only complaint with it is I found the flight stick stuff to be really a little bit broken and fiddly. I was like, is it just me? I went onto some forums and I found a lot of people complaining about the HOTAS controls and like the buttons not working right. And we ended up getting rid of setting the flight stick aside and just playing with the controller, which is also fine. But I don't know, I feel like the game maybe needs a patch or two to figure out the flight stick stuff. But as a technical showcase, and the Discovery Flight thing that they added specifically for the Xbox version, where you can just like, it'll just drop you over like Mount Everest or San Francisco or Paris, fly over the Eiffel Tower or whatever. It's just jaw-dropping, just astonishing.
Yeah, I forgot. I downloaded that on the Series S, and before I kind of locked it in here on my desk, I loaded up Microsoft Flight Sim on the LG, and even with the Series S, playing it on the big screen was like really fun, and just like loading up at SFO and then like flying over my neighborhood and stuff like that. And like even like when you get closer and closer to the houses, like the image quality isn't like the best, but like I could still like kind of find like the stairs for like the front of our house and stuff like that. I was like, oh dude, this is so fun.
I crashed into Ocean Beach like a dozen times trying to fly over my house.
I loaded up in Cleveland to like fly over like old neighborhoods. I lived up in over in Cleveland, and it was just like a fun little like, hell yeah, this is really
the level
fun.
Of fidelity when you fly over those cities. I mean, I know that they did all the geo mapping stuff, and it's just incredible. What a technical showcase for the Series X. Like you expect it to look that good on a high-end PC, but like I said, even on the Series S, I was watching the Digital Foundry did a really good comparison, Series X and Series S. Mm-hmm. And you're right, obviously it's never going to look as good,
right?
But especially if you're not playing in 4K or whatever, on Series S, for that little box, remarkable.
It was great. And this reminds me, Mike, of one other thing, because that was a big file. It took up a lot of the storage in my Series S. So I played around with it a little bit, deleted it, and then downloaded a different game that is 117 gigs. Mike, what do you think I
Master
downloaded?
Chief Collection.
Loaded up Master Chief Collection. I had started a replay of Halo 1 like a year ago. I loaded that up and I was like, I don't want to play through this first game again. I'm going to load up the last level just to get that experience of like driving through the entire ship while it's exploding, because that last mission is so fun. And then I loaded up Halo 2, and just like the whole intro sequence of that game is still so goddamn good. And I've never played the anniversary editions before. And so like the cutscenes for Halo 2 are like really great, and then like going into that game is just like so nostalgic. And so I'm trying to slowly kind of reintroduce myself to Halo, because I loved Halo 1 through 3 and Halo Reach when they originally came out, or not originally came out, but I think it was around the time that Halo 2 came out is when I got introduced to the series. And so I'm just trying to like catch up with the lore and stuff just to get caught up by the time we get to Infinite, and hopefully understand what's going on with everything.
Gotta be ready for it.
Is Halo 2 the one that got criticism back in the day for having like this really abrupt ending?
Yeah,
like,
and
the game just stops rather than ends.
Don't remember that, because I remember like loving Halo 2. I remember being blown away by that game, and I've heard that criticism over the years of like, oh yeah, Halo 2 just kind of like has like a really bad ending, and I was like, I don't remember that. So I'm interested to go back to see what people are talking about and see like after all of these years if I agree with that or not. And
can you get both a fully loaded out Microsoft Flight Simulator and the Master Chief Collection on a Series S?
Yes, but
you're gonna run
can't
out of space
have
real fast,
anything
right?
else pretty
Right,
much.
that's it.
All right, so I have been playing Splitgate and Dodgeball Academia. I've been playing Dodgeball Academia exclusively on the cloud in bed on my phone, and I really recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It is ripped right out of Cartoon Network. It's got a fun, cute little kind of, childlike story of growing up to be the ultimate dodgeball hero. And I really enjoy the fun dodgeball mechanics inside of it. I think it's basic when you're actually playing the game of dodgeball in there, but it's just enough where I think, the younger audience could really attach themselves to the visuals and the easy to learn gameplay. I think the older audience might be 50-50 on the gameplay and how repetitive it is. But I really have been enjoying Dodgeball Academia, so I want to give a shout out to that. And of course, I've been missing a ton of Halo Infinite, so all I want to do is play it. And so to fill the void right now, a little time, a little Trapper Keeper, Timekeeper is Splitgate to hold me over. Splitgate has been a ton of fun. If you haven't tried that open beta, full crossplay, really, really good time with the arena shooter. It feels and looks like Halo, but you get to mesh in the portals in there, and it really adds another level of gameplay where all of a sudden you can portal around the map for, kind of movement wise, or you can portal and shoot through the portals and kill different enemies. So I really encourage people to go check out Splitgate. This team has been exploding with a lot of player base right now, and has been really enjoying the high. A lot of people are hyped around this game. So go check it out. But let's jump into
just
the news.
downloaded it yesterday, Mikey. So let's squad up soon. I'm down. I'm so excited.
Dodgeball Academia. I can see my kid and I maybe having some fun competitive play sessions with that. Splitgate was one that confused me because I saw suddenly a lot of people were playing it. I was like, oh, is this a new thing? I went onto Steam. It's a game that came out back in May of 2019, but I'm guessing there was like a major like update or a big.
It just opened up to consoles recently, and
I
remember
consoles? Okay.
The devs I think came to the Kind of Funny studio back in 2019. Like we did a let's play of this. I remember helping Kevin set up to record of this. So yeah, it's been around for a minute, and it's the more Mike, Blessing, and Andy talk about it, the more I'm just like, yes, get me in here, and let's click some heads and tear them to shreds. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
It's been a ton of fun. Let's jump into the news right after a word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Sennheiser, specifically the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2 earbuds, which are the best earbuds I have ever owned. And you guys know me, I love sound quality, I love audio, I love all that stuff. And man, I truly love the experience. Never had better wireless earbuds before. While other companies focused on phones or tablets, Sennheiser has put sound first, and it's paying off for them. With their free smart control app, you can adjust the sound to your personal preference with all the EQ. The built-in equalizer makes it super easy. There's noise cancellation. Now you can switch off your surroundings and dive into that impactful song or important episode with the new active noise cancellation feature. Right now, for the first 100 listeners who go to Sennheiser.com/podcast and use promo code KFGames, you'll receive 15% off the Momentum True Wireless 2 earbuds or any of their amazing headphones. That's 15% off when you go to SENNHEISER.com/podcast and use our promo code KFGames. Go do it. Blessing's been loving them too. They're fantastic earbuds. Next up, shout out to Honey. We all shop online and we've all seen that promo code field taunt us at checkout. But thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey's the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. I have saved literally thousands of dollars just by having Honey. It's one of the best things ever, and it's totally free and so easy to use. You just wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons that it can find for the site. It applies the best ones it can get you, and then you're saving money. I've saved money on Hue lights. I recently saved money on some bomber jackets. Nobody's surprised. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free, installs in just a few seconds. By getting it, you're doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. So get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kinda. That's joinhoney.com/kinda. And finally, shout out to Upstart. If you're carrying a credit balance month after month, it can feel like you're in a never-ending cycle of debt. Upstart can help you make that final payment so you can get ahead. Upstart's the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online. One of my really good friends did this, was able to consolidate all of his loans, and it just made it easier for him to wrap his head around, and now he's debt-free. Upstart knows that you're more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan, which is really, really awesome. You can find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/kindafunny. That's upstart.com/kindafunny. Don't forget to use the URL to support the show. Let us know that we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/kindafunny.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Let's jump into the fun news. And, it's unfortunate that Parris can't be here today because really, we're going to kick off the news celebrating our good friend Parris. Parris Lilly got another awesome hosting job over with Team Xbox for Xbox and Gamescom presentation. So I was going to have Parris tell us all about it, the excitement, get him pumped up and us to ask some questions. But if you don't know, guess what? Gamescom is just in 2 weeks from now. And Xbox has announced that they will be putting on a fun presentation hosted by our good friend Parris Lilly. And he has a special co-host, Kate Yeager, I believe, as well. So we'll get to see Parris up on the big stage talking about games and getting us excited for another weekend filled of awesome game announcements over with Gamescom. Of course, remember to set your expectations, Gary Whitta, because Aaron Greenberg and the team have come out with a fun tweet. Aaron says, join us digitally at Gamescom this year. Our Xbox stream is focused on game updates coming this year. So to set expectations, no new reveals or major surprises, but the team has a fun stream planned with our amazing hosts, Parris Lilly and Kate Yeager. Of course, the time will be Tuesday, August 24th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. BST, 7 p.m. CEST. And then, of course, the next day following that will be Jeff Keighley and his crew showing up for Gamescom opening night live on Wednesday, August 25th at 11 a.m., 2 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. BST. So make sure to double check your times. Make sure you're ready for that. But a fun couple presentations ahead. I'm really excited. We wanted to give all the love and support to our good co-host, our good friend, Parris Lilly. So congratulations to him. We're rooting you on here from Xcast. He is absolutely killing it. Some other special notes from the blog. Of course, you can connect with your fellow Xbox fans and special guests because Gamescom usually is a gigantic convention out in Germany every single year.
The biggest gaming convention in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been there twice. And every time I look at the show floor, I just nope out of there. I'm like, nope, that is the most amount of people I think I've ever seen in real life. And that it was terrifying, I will say.
They're not doing a full in-person event this year, are they?
No way.
Yeah, that's
no
correct.
way.
All digital. So, of course, that means you can't meet your fellow Xbox fans, but Xbox has got you covered. They're going to do a special edition Xbox Fan Fest with more details to come. So if you want to meet up with your favorite Xbox fans or some special guests, go on over to xbox.com/fanfest where you can sign up. And as well, since XCOM or Gamescom is happening, they're gonna have a big
XCOM,
digital sale.
Xcast,
It's all happening.
It's all the same. Whatever.
Digital sale, 70% off certain titles over for our fans in Europe. So if you're over in Europe, keep an eye out for a big Gamescom sale. But Gary, I know Parris was going to be here. We probably couldn't do predictions with him. We don't really need to do predictions because now we know we're going to be talking about updates and titles coming this year. So my only question to you, Gary Whitta, and now Barrett Courtney for joining us is, when we go to this presentation, will we see a release date for Halo?
It's an interesting question, I think, considering they've already kind of set the parameters. And it's always good to do this. Like we see this with every Nintendo Direct, right? People get carried away with what they think they're going to see, and then when Nintendo don't deliver it, they're like, "Well, you didn't show us what we wanted to see." Like you've got to. I feel like it's now just in general. I think these companies are. This is not the first time we've seen it, but I think you're going to see more of this. Is companies kind of managing expectations. Don't expect any new. Nintendo did it with their last Direct. Don't expect any new reveals or anything. This is just going to be like updates to stuff we already know about or whatever. So it's good that they're kind of setting the parameters, setting the expectations. Microsoft doing it again in this case. But if we were in those, if you think about it, right, within those parameters, what can you add into what new news can you give us about stuff we already know, right? It's not like you're going to announce like a new Banjo-Kazooie game, which they should of course do, but it's not like they're going to do that. They're not going to give us anything totally new. What more can you tell us about stuff we already know about? I feel like the number one thing they could do is give us a Halo release date. I think it's still a little bit early for that. I mean, we don't know. Only Phil Spencer and the team at 343 could really tell you like how confident they are of the game being finished and ready to be delivered at a certain time or whatever. But let's say they're there. Let's say they feel confident about we're going to be able to hit like October 22nd or whatever date it might be. I think I pulled that date out of my head because I think that's pretty close to like what if you wanted to hit like the actual 20th anniversary day and date of the original Halo and the original Xbox. It's in that. Someone will correct me, but it's in that area.
November 15th.
November 15th. November 15th, day and date, 20th anniversary. How perfect would that be? Typically, if you want to hit the whole holiday season, like the big holiday games come out a little bit earlier than that. Like the big like annual Call of Duty drops are usually a little bit earlier than November. But I mean, that would be great. I don't think we're going to get it, but I'm trying to think like what's the biggest piece of news they could give us within the parameters of stuff we already know about. A Halo release date would definitely be that, I think.
Yeah, Gary, we're getting close, right, Gary? When we start to look at the calendar, we're talking late August here. That's 2 full months, right? That's September, October, and then we head into November. You think this is kind of when you start to plant your flag. Phil has talked about it before of looking at other games in kind of that genre and the landscape around him during that holiday period on when they will plant the flag and announce it. But you think it would be coming up soon, and I think it fits that parameters, like you said. Also, another one I think, Barrett, for a fun one, is I'd like to see Greeny and the team announce the Xbox mini fridge. I think that could be a fun one out of left field, right? I think it's like, oh, it's not a game, but we got the mini fridge, right?
I think that'd be a fun one for Gamescom and the level. Like I've said, like Gamescom is the biggest gaming conference in the world, and that's purely for like how many people attend, right? For me personally, when it comes to news and like a big like headline breaking kind of stuff, I've never seen Gamescom as that kind of thing. So like I think it makes sense with the Greenberg's tweet about like, hey, like set expectations, no new announcements and stuff like that. Because I'm trying to think like the biggest thing that has ever been announced at Gamescom, and what was that game, that open world game that finally came out this year? Biomutant. Biomutant got announced at Gamescom, and I remember when that got revealed, and everybody was like, "Holy shit, this game's gonna be so good!" And I remember seeing that, I was like, "It looks fine. It looks whatever." And then it came out, and then Mike, what was it?
It's just mediocre.
Yeah, it was
just
whatever.
Average.
Exactly,
just average.
And so, like, I've never felt anything like huge ever comes out of Gamescom. So I'd personally be very surprised if we got a date for Halo out of Gamescom, and that's just purely because I don't think personally Halo needs it. I think they could announce the date for Halo whenever the heck they want, and people are going to show up, especially with the excitement after the flight test that one weekend. I'm interested to see if like what the date actually becomes, right? Because have they said how many flight tests are left after that first one? Do we know the kind of the rollout of that? Because if they're going to do a few more, like they're going to want to spread them out a little bit. And with spreading them out, like how much time does that give us between now and, you would assume November if it comes out this year still. Like, I don't know. The timeline stuff is not lining up in my head personally, where I'm like, does it actually hit this year? I don't know.
I'm looking at the calendar, and Barrett, I'm going to break it down for you.
Break it down for me.
I see us showing off a release date for Halo and then announcing another technical preview probably the following weekend. So that would be the first weekend of September. I could see us getting another technical preview there. They have been saying, hey, to everybody who missed out on the first technical flight, make sure to sign up for Halo Insider so you're involved. So I could really see us easily showing off a little slice of campaign to show off some more fun Master Chief moments. Then we get the announcement of the release date, hopefully targeting November 15th. I think hitting that 20th anniversary would be a really cool milestone. And then following into, hey, we have another technical flight coming out next weekend. It will focus on whatever they want to do, whether it be Slayer or Big Team Battle. And I think you build up a lot of hype going into that. And then that gives you all of September and October to host maybe another one of those, or start to go back to the drawing board and ensure you're ready for November. But I think this could be a great moment. I think this would be it. But you're right. Halo doesn't need that at all. They don't need that.
I think they can do it whenever they want. Again, I don't think they need Gamescom, but maybe that's maybe Gamescom is the event, especially with the opening night live. I think the day after and stuff. Maybe that is the week that they're looking at of like, hey, like we're gonna make a thing about this and have it be its own moment. I could be very wrong about that.
The more I think about it,
I'm just always down on Gamescom because people are always like hyping up Gamescom, like we're gonna get so many fucking reveals, guys, and then I'm like, it's Gamescom. Nothing ever comes out of the show.
Manage those expectations. But the more I think about it, the more it's not that it's already mid-August, right? The rest of the year is going to come up on us real fast. And you think about it, if they're going to ship this year, let's say they're going to ship October, November, or whenever it's going to be, they've got, for that to be the case, they have to be close to gold now, right? Don't forget they have to ship physical copies of this game. They got to get some mass replication of discs. They got to print. They have to ship them all out. And I know that they'll continue to work on day one patches, but to get an actual shippable gold version of the game, if that's going to happen this year, they have to be close now, and that means they also have to be close.
There's also the question. There's the question that I think Tim might have thrown out there, or maybe someone in I don't know. All these shows kind of roll into the same thing of like, because the multiplayer and the single player are separate releases, right? They're going to be like separate things that you can download because the multiplayer is going to be free to play. All of this stuff. Do we think the multiplayer launches ahead of the campaign?
I don't think.
No,
I don't think they'll
one
split
big
it like
package.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, one big package. I definitely think you're coming out with the whole kit and caboodle here. It just feels right. It seems right. It would be very interesting to see if they did do that. I know, Gary, I think it was on your show, right? Back in the day on Animal Talking, where Phil talked about the possible split. That was almost a year ago, is right. But I think now we're at the point where they're going to go all out for this one, which will be fun. But, sticking with Gamescom and our fun presentation hosted by Parris Lilly, I want to ask you both one more regarding these kind of presentations as we start to near the end of the year, right? We'll have Gamescom, we'll have Tokyo Game Show, we'll have the Game Awards. How important is it to you two as gamers and Xbox fans here? How important is it to have a presence at these certain shows, whether it be some reveals, whether it be hosting your own presentation? Gary, what do you think it is? Do you think Xbox has to do this? We've shown over the year of COVID where you can do your own thing, but it's also something to be tied to these larger events. Do you think it's something that Xbox will always do moving on in the future?
I think for smaller companies, it's being able to kind of get your game in as part of a broader spotlight can be really valuable to them. I think for the bigger companies, and this is why we've seen E3 struggle over the past few years as Sony and other companies have kind of stepped away from it. If you're EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, you're big enough that if you decide to do your own event, it's not like you're going to have trouble getting people to tune in or take an interest. Those companies can just do things on their own terms. Having said that, even for the bigger companies, there's still, there's always an expectation that when E3 comes around, when Gamescom comes around, it's like you want to be a part of that conversation. But I do think that we have seen over the past few years, and will continue to see over the coming years, companies like the real, just think about the three biggest ones, the hardware guys, Nintendo, Sega, Sega, Nintendo. I've been playing too much Streets of Rage. Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, Xbox, just deciding that they're going to roll these things. Why do I have to decide when I'm going to announce my games on your timeline? We're going to do it on our own timeline. We're going to do our own marquee events, and we'll do it when it suits us, whether it be state of play, Nintendo Direct, or I can't remember what Microsoft call it, Inside Xbox, or whatever it is they call it. I can't remember when they do that, when they do their own events. Do it on their own timeline. Any time Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo can say, hey, guess what? Next week we're going to unveil a whole bunch of stuff. It's not like, oh, well, if it's not part of E3, we're not tuning into it. People will tune in. So I think we're going to start to see, again, we'll continue to see companies just doing things on their own calendar. We're tuning in for a Nintendo Direct. Look, we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch a goddamn
I'm not getting
Nintendo
up for that
Direct.
one, Gary. I'll wake up at 9 in the morning and just scroll through Twitter and be like, oh, cool, little fun announcement. I'm not waking up for that.
Then you got to wake up to like 500 hot takes first thing in the morning. That's even more stressful.
Yeah, you're right. For me personally, I don't think they need to be doing this every year. I think it's more likely that they want to be a part of Gamescom because they probably do have things that they're ready to talk about, and instead of doing their own thing, like if there wasn't a Gamescom, they might have just made their own another like bigger Inside Xbox to talk about updates for games coming this year, and so on and so forth. I don't see this being a thing that they need to do yearly for Gamescom, unless it's like there's a big fall coming up, and Gamescom is like the perfect time to be giving updates for fall games at the end of the summer. I don't think that Gamescom is something that they need to be a part of every year. And again, like I've said, I don't think it's something that the major three have like really looked at as something being like super important, and like they give some updates and some little things, but nothing too crazy ever comes out of it. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see like what they have to show in a couple of weeks and what they have to update us with, but I'd be very surprised if this becomes a yearly thing for Xbox to kind of kick off the week of Gamescom.
The other thing I think could fall within these parameters of like, don't expect any new game announcements or anything like that. And we've talked about this not necessarily the sexiest thing, but I think it's cool. Again, 20th anniversary, some kind of 20th anniversary hardware, like a Master Chief Edition, Series X,
the mini fridge, bro.
Series S. Of course, the mini fridge gets you halfway there, but what's the rest of the story? It's interesting though. Sometimes sometimes something like that can just get dropped with a tweet. They don't even do an event. They just say, "Hey, we're doing this," and that gets enough traction. But I think I do think there's a good chance with the 20th anniversary we'll see, like, again, because it's tied in with Halo as well. I think you're going to see some kind of UNSC, navy green, military themed, Master Chief Xbox special edition package for the holidays. I think you're going to see that as well this year.
It'll be really interesting, Gary. I think the world we currently live in and the chip shortage being so big and just having the trouble to get the consoles out, I worry that maybe this team has shifted that idea of doing something special like a special edition console to maybe moving into something a little more simpler like a controller, right? And I know that kind of feels like a punch to the gut because, I'm sure we all wanted something really special coming off of years of cool special edition consoles. But I think right now where we're at with everything, I could see them easily moving and just be like, hey, we've done a controller instead, which kind of seems a little lackluster, but it's not
getting any better, is it? It's like, where's the end in sight? I follow Wario64, because he always has like, the fastest breaking news on when new hardware's in stock. And I'm not even in the market for a console right now. But I was just curious. Like, I happened to be following my Twitter feed the other day when he said, okay, I think it was at PlayStation 5 digital is in stock at Best Buy. Go right now. And usually if you see that tweet, it's more than 60 seconds old. It's already too late. I saw it right as it popped. I was like, I'm just curious. I went right there and it was already out of stock. Like, it's impossible.
It's savage out there right now.
We're almost a year into this console cycle and you still cannot find any of these SKUs. Series S, Series X, either the PlayStation 5 digital or disc version, they're nowhere. The last time I remember seeing anything like this was the original Nintendo Wii. We're like a year in, and I still haven't seen a single Xbox Series S or Series X or PlayStation 5 in the wild, in a cabinet at Target or Best Buy or anywhere. Not once. It's crazy.
It is wild, Gary. So we'll see. Like you said, the 20th anniversary, it's something that you really want to celebrate that milestone. You probably want to go out with the marketing and the fun. But in the world we live in right now, like Parris always says, due to COVID, you could push everything back and reassemble and rearrange. So we'll see what happens. But another friend of the show, Blind Gamer Steve, our good friend Steve Saylor, he actually hosted the ID at Xbox and Twitch Gaming Indie Showcase that happened earlier in the week. So we want to give a big shout out to our good friend Steve Saylor, aka Blind Gamer Steve, and all of the fun that he did with Team Xbox and ID at Xbox and Twitch, alongside his co-host Strawberry17 Plays. They hosted a fun 2-hour live stream. So a little bit down, Gary, from the 4 hours that they did previous on the first ID at Xbox Game Showcase. They moved on down, and they had another fun one. Showed off about 18 indie titles. I believe 6 of them, by my count, were coming to Game Pass. And so, Gary, I wanted to save you and the chat out there, or you and the viewers out there, I should say, some time and pull you a couple that I thought you would like, Gary. And of course, if you're interested in indies, because it's been a year all about indies kind of carrying the big weight here during a COVID pandemic, here are some really fun indies that I thought Gary Whitta would like. So go check out all of the ID at Xbox games that were announced over this week. But Gary, let's start off with Evil Genius 2 World Domination. So you can take a look on your screen if you're watching on youtube.com/kindoffunny games. You can see the trailer being live, or if not, I will read it off to you. But Evil Genius 2 is a satirical spy-fi layer builder where players take control of an evil genius and set their plans for world domination in motion. When it feels this good to be bad, the forces of justice don't stand a chance. Build your own unique evil lair and cover operation. Train a force of criminal minions to defend your lair from the forces of justice and dominate the world with a doomsday device in this direct sequel to the 2004 cult classic. It's coming to Game Pass, Gary, as well. And I think in a world where we see a lot of 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus, this looks fun to me, Gary. And I thought you might like this because I know you got a little evil side out there sometimes when you want to take over the world.
Yeah, I was a big fan of it. If either of you played the original Evil Genius, but I'm a big fan of this. And this kind of game goes back even further to the old days of Bullfrog and Theme Park and Theme Hospital and stuff like that. These kind of, these Dungeon Keeper, these kind of buildy, fun buildy games. This one's got a great Team Fortress 2 kind of like cartoon aesthetic to it. It looks like a ton of fun. It's actually been on PC since March. It's been on my Steam backlog for a while. Maybe it comes to Game Pass is what will finally get me to break down and play it. But if you ever played the original Evil Genius, you'll know how much fun it is. This one looks like a ton of fun as well. Like they really did give it a really nice new lick of paint, a great new aesthetics. It looks like a lot of fun. It's like I said, it's been my Steam backlog of shame is a joke. I'm looking at it right now and it's frankly embarrassing. Evil Genius 2 is one of those games. I love this kind of stuff. I do want to knock it off my list.
Coming to Game Pass, so keep your eye on it. Up next, Gary, I pulled for you Lightyear Frontier. Lightyear Frontier is an open-world farming exploration game with crafting, resource management, and base building. Play 1 to 4 players in online co-op, discover and grow alien plants, domesticate wildlife, endure the elements, and build your new home away from home. Yeah, it's giving me a little bit of No Man's Sky vibes out there. Some fun kind of like you, me, and the team were out there base building, making some space farms, having some fun. But I like the bright colors here. I like the 4 people in what would look like, alien mechs out there. And this one caught my eye. I thought you might vibe with this.
I like the brightly colored mech. This is actually my first time. Evil Genius 2, I knew a lot about ahead of time. It's been, like I said, been on my list for a while. This one is my first time hearing about it. Yeah, it's got it's a No Man's Sky, maybe a little Astroneer. It's got those kind of vibes to it. I like the brightly colored mechs. Again, I love these kind of farming. Anytime you can kind of like lay down things and kind of build and grow. I love that kind of stuff, and I like the vibe on this one as well. This is Game Pass as well, right?
That is not Game Pass.
Oh, this is not Game Pass. Okay.
Okay. Now up next, for my skater boy over there, Sad Boy Barrett, I pulled this one for you and all of my friends that love skating out there. This is Ollie Ollie World, which we have seen before, but guess what? They shared character customization. So Ollie Ollie World, it's all about you being unique, bringing your style, your steez out there to the world. And so they showed off character customization in this trailer. They also announced that the game will be coming in at 120 frames per second and also 4K. So you'll have some options on the modes that you play in. If you want to go 4K, 120 as well, stuff like that will be really, really cool. But I mean, Bear, this is one you and I, we've been playing a lot of Skate. We're excited for Skate 4.
Yeah.
We love these extreme sports games. And this is one, Ollie Ollie, that just speaks to me. I love these characters, and I thought you might like this as well.
It's been crazy to see the evolution of this series, because I remember playing, I think, the first Ollie Ollie whenever it came to PS4. And I was like, it wasn't really hitting at the time, and it looks so different now of like what they're doing with Ollie Ollie World. And every time I see it, I'm like, damn, I'm so charmed by this game.
I love this aesthetic.
Yeah, it's got this fun art style to it, and I'm looking to like have this like what kind of looks like almost like a Trials Rising.
I was going to say
situation.
Trials HD has got that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I don't know if it'll be as like, I almost look at Trials Rising as more of like a puzzle game with like how the controls work, very quappy. I don't know like if it'll actually be that similar, but yeah, I'm really digging the vibe of this game. At least I think there's going to be like a story mode or something like that. I'm excited to get in here. Of course, this will be very different from like the very like realistic Skater 3 and Skater XL kind of skating games, but I'm down to clown in this game, Mike. Honestly, I'm really excited to check this out, and hearing it like coming in at like 120 frames per second and stuff like that. Like that's got me very excited.
I love games like this that have their own, like, there's no other game that looks like that. You know, it has its own very specific aesthetic, very specific style. Almost looks like an Adult Swim, you know, animated show or whatever. I think it's great. It looks really good.
It looks exciting, and I can't wait. And so that was a fun one to show off. This one, Gary, is for you, but for also your daughter, because I think she's really going to like this. So this is Paparazzi right here. Photograph and catalog the finest and derpiest dogs to build your career, upgrade your camera, and discover new canines. Woof. This is coming to Game Pass right here. We have seen this before, but another fun trailer to show off Paparazzi. And I mean, coming off of Pokemon Snap, what they did on the Nintendo Switch, I am so excited to have this come to Xbox, especially because we're going to be snapping cute photos of dogs.
I can't believe they made an Andrew Goldfarb simulator. This is wild.
My God, Mike, what do you do? I'm never gonna get back on my Xbox. Like a game where you take pictures of cute dogs. Like, yeah,
and they're skateboarding, Mike. Oh
dogs
my
on
God.
a half pipe. What the hell is going on?
What is happening in this game?
I thought this would be the one, so I wanted to make sure we showed this one off. Paparazzi is going to catch everybody's eyes, no matter what age you are, coming to Game Pass. And finally, I wanted to show you one more, Gary, that might catch your eye or maybe take you back if you remember it. Because Sam and Max are back.
That's right. Max.
Sam and Max Save the World Remastered is out right now. The Freelance Police are back in a remastered version of their first season of the episodic adventure game from Telltale, lovingly updated by a small group of the original developers. So, you know, if you're missing that Telltale fun, if you liked Sam and Max, now you get a fun, upgraded, remastered version out right now.
I love Sam and Max back in the old days of you know when they were doing these games at Lucasfilm, and the Telltale team, you know, the Telltale as it was back then, was a lot of ex Lucasfilm guys, did an amazing job bringing back Sam and Max within the episodic format. This pleases me a lot. I like it. Sam and Max are so much fun. Just incredibly funny characters. The only thing that would please me more is if they went all the way back to the beginning and did a remaster of the original Sam and Max Hit the Road, which was the first Sam and Max game from the old LucasArts days. Would love to see that. But if you've never played a Sam and Max game before, and you like, you know, that kind of Tim Schafer, Psychonauts, you know, fun kind of comedy humor, or you're gonna love it.
I want to check this out. Like I love Grim Fandango. Like that's one of my favorite games ever. And I didn't know this had Lucasfilm roots. I'd seen Sam and Max. You know, it popped up on the PlayStation Store years and years ago, Mikey. You just kind of scroll past it and you're like, I don't know what this is. But watching this trailer and seeing this is on Game Pass and it came out. You said?
This is not on Game Pass.
Not Game Pass, but it is available today. Remastered and stuff. And like watching this trailer, I'm like, oh man, this seems very weird but very charming. Kind of very similar to like what I would say Grim Fandango and similar like adventure type of games are. Like I'm definitely gonna check this out. I want to check this out because it's very weird and psychedelic. Almost has like, it reminds me of a little bit of Psychonauts with just like visually how weird it can get too. Like this looks rad.
Go have some fun with it. Those are some fun polls that I pulled from the ID at Xbox/Twitch Gaming Showcase #2, hosted by a friend of the show, Blind Gamer Steve. So go check it out. If you missed out on any of the announcements, you can go check out the Xbox Wire and see the blog post of all the titles. But Gary, I wanted to pull some for you so you could see what was announced there. Indie titles really being the darling of the year. So always fun to show that off. But another one, Gary, I believe, what's the count, right? I think you have 2 BAFTA awards. Is that correct, Gary?
Yeah, currently 2, yeah.
2 BAFTA awards. Let me tell you about a team that has 5 BAFTA awards, and that is Ninja Theory and their game, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, getting a big optimization patch now available. Of course, the deets are, we're excited to announce a free update for Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, available now on Xbox Series X and S. We're offering ray tracing on both Series X and S consoles, up to 4K resolution, up to 120 hertz, updated materials, particles, and details, and a fan-requested chapter select. So if you haven't played Hellblade, or if you're excited to jump back in before Ninja Theory drops #2, now is a great opportunity to really enjoy this big optimization patch that the team put out. And there's actually a pretty cool little FAQ over there as well on the website if you wanted to read up on it. It says, will this update come to any other platforms? An update for PC version of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is currently in development. There are no plans to bring this update to any other platform at this time. So our PlayStation best friends out there going to have to jump over on the Xbox or PC later on to catch this big update. And then it says, will this update delay Senua's Saga Hellblade 2? For this update, we partnered with QLOC, the company who helped bring us Hellblade to Nintendo Switch. They have been hard at work on the latest version for Xbox Series S and S, so we have been able to focus on our future projects, including Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. So you can rest assured that the team out there is still hard at work with their future projects, and this didn't take any other time. Big shout out to the other team putting this all together, but 5 BAFTA awards for this game. Really, really special game that has been hyped up a lot and really talked about in a great manner. If you haven't played it, great way to jump in. Gary Whitta, 5 BAFTAs. It's the real deal. Have you played Hellblade before?
When you think about it, there's really not that much of a difference between 2 BAFTAs and 5.
No, not at all.
There is a big difference between 0 and 2. And just a reminder, Greg Miller has 0.
Between 0 and 2. Yeah. After the first 2, it's like whatever. But no, so okay. In all seriousness, this does actually look like I'm loving these games getting these next gen glow ups, right? And this looks like one of the better ones. If you like those Digital Foundry under the hood, deep dive tech videos that they do, I love Digital Foundry. They do great stuff. They just put up a deep dive on the Series X and Series S optimizations of this just yesterday. I only watched like the first little. I haven't had a chance to watch all of it yet, but it looks like it was a big thumbs up from the Digital Foundry guys. Just a really impressive technical showcase. Incredible game. The only thing I would say about it is, like, don't go into that game lightly. It's a game. It's a very, very dark, very, very serious game. It's a game that that deals with kind of mental health issues and stuff like that. And I remember when the optimization came out, I said to my wife just this week, "Hey, the game just got a big glow up. Did you ever finish that?" And she was like, "No, I had to stop playing it because it was really triggering my anxiety." Like, it's not a game for everyone. It's a very, very heavy, serious game that deals with a lot of heavy, serious subjects. And if you're down for that, by all means, jump in. Especially if you want to check out that next gen optimization that it got. I'm just letting you know from my experience in our household that was a game that if you are likely to have if games that trigger your anxiety or things like that easily, this is a game that could well do that. So just go into it with your eyes open.
Yeah, really exciting stuff here. And Digital Foundry does have a big breakdown, like they always do, of this optimization, so you can see all of the different options, what it looks like on the different consoles as well. And I also want to give one more shout out to Digital Foundry. I don't know if you and Barrett saw it, but earlier today, the team over there actually took apart an Xbox Series S and had nothing but awesome things to say about it. So jump over there. They kind of break down the console. They pull it all apart because it was broken. So don't get mad at them. It was broken. So they pulled it all apart and looked at the pieces, and nothing but really positive things to say about it, Gary. It's very impressive.
I saw that
them
too.
Speak so highly about it. I loved watching it. I loved hearing it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So they just put this up 8 hours ago after inadvertently bricking their own Series S with a balked experiment. They decided to at least strip it for parts and get some content out of it. It's their first time doing it. Doing actually a full tear down and comparing it to both of the Series X and the 1S and the 1X, because there's one of the more interesting conversations out there right now, or has been since the Series S came out, is what's actually more powerful, like an Xbox Series. And this is where, again, the name. I'm glad that Microsoft started leaning into this and making a joke out of it. I've been saying it all along. The naming is a mess. What's the more powerful system? A Series S, 1X, and I think the truth is it's not a simple thing. Like is that they're actually, one is more powerful in some areas than others. I think ultimately you're going to be more happy with a Series S. But one of the interesting things about this Digital Foundry teardown is they did a lot of comparisons to, because a lot of people always ask, should I get an S or an X, and going back and forth on whether it's worth the extra $200. I think honestly, if you're in any way concerned about how much money you're spending, just go with the Series S. I don't know anyone who's got a Series S who's not been happy with it. But it's been really interesting to see. I'm going to watch this later. Actually, watch them take apart this little. Again, I'm looking at it right now. Like, God, it's never ceases to amaze me how small that box is. Every time I sit and damn, that's a little console. It's kind of wonderful.
Shout out to Jason Ronald and the team over there on the hardware side that, really created this next generation from the Series X and what we've seen with that Xbox Velocity architecture, how the air is distributed to keep it all cool. And then you look at the Series S and how they created that and put all of these next generation parts into such a small box and have it to work so well and stay so quiet. As Barrett can probably tell you, right? His face is right up next to it. And I'm sure, he really values it not being super loud,
Yeah, it's not a loud thing. Like, it gets a little, since it looks like a speaker, like a little heat comes out of the black circle, but nothing like too crazy or anything. And yeah, it's great.
Since we're talking about Digital Foundry, I just want to give a little shout out to this guy, Richard Ledbetter, who's basically the main guy there. If you've ever watched Digital Foundry videos, you know who Richard Ledbetter is. He kind of hosts most of the videos. And whether or not he owns it, I don't know, but he's like the main guy at Digital Foundry. He and I actually got our start in the industry together when I was like a young, spotty-faced, skinny Barrett Courtney type person, just like starting in the video game.
God, you had to bring it back with those
30
posts,
years ago.
The posts of people bringing up young Gary and then tagging me, being like, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "God damn it!" Yes, when I
was Barrett Courtney many decades ago, and I was working on these like British 16-bit game magazines, Richard Ledbetter was in the next office over from me. I doubt he'd even remember me, but when I was on Computer and Video Games magazine, he was on the sister magazine. It was called Mean Machines, and we both were covering basically the 16-bit consoles at that time. The Super Nintendo, Sega, Mega Drive, and stuff like that. And I don't think Richard and I ever really said more than 2 words to each other, but we were like, I was just interested that he and I kind of started in the same office back in the late 1980s, early 90s. I just wanted to take my hat off to Richard, who has gone on to build this amazing site and career for himself. Digital Foundry is like one of the most popular, I think one of the best sites, in the gaming internet.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say congratulations to Richard for building something really amazing. I go to Digital Foundry all the time. It's such a good site.
They're the ASMR of the video game industry too, because they have the most like relaxed voices. And I get cozy while like watching on my phone, where it's like I'm not going to see a difference in like what they're showing off because I'm watching on my phone. Of like, break it down for me, guys.
That's me, baby.
Honestly, that site and that Digital Foundry and Hardware Canucks are the two sites. Like, I spent like 20 minutes the other day watching a Hardware Canucks breakdown of a video card that I don't give a shit about. I just liked hearing him talk about it. There's almost like an ASMR factor to it. It just chills you out.
Well, since we're doing that, let's take a quick moment because our friend of the show, the guy, Phil Spencer, put out a tweet just 12 minutes ago and says, was at Valve this week talking with Scott, Eric, Gabe about Steam Deck. After having mine most of the week, I can say it's a really nice device. Games with me on the go, screen size, controls all great. Playing Halo and Age feels good. xCloud works well. Congrats, Steam Deck team.
Whoa.
So there it is. Pretty special. We've talked about the Steam Deck before with Parris and Gary. Another big handheld coming there. And the question was, what is it going to look like? Can I put xCloud on it? And looks like Phil has been playing around with xCloud as well. That's pretty exciting stuff.
It's it's interesting. We talk all the time about how Microsoft's moving away from the need for specific hardware, right? Play games anywhere, play it on your phone, play it on a smart TV, whatever. It does make me think like it's interesting that Microsoft's the one company that's never got involved in the handheld game. Nintendo obviously huge into handhelds. Sony has dabbled with handhelds over the years. Now even Steam, Valve are getting involved with the Steam Deck. We keep talking about like how just small and delightful the Series S is for how much power it delivers. Is it completely beyond the realm of possibility that like within the next few years you could see a Series S level piece of hardware boiled down into an Xbox handheld form factor?
It's interesting, Gary, right? You bring up the idea of the TV app. You talk about the just simple plug-in USB kind of game cloud device, right, into your TVs. And you think about it, and I don't know, Gary, I truly don't think they need to do that, because when you look at it, your phone is just as good, right? Like I'm playing all my games on my phone, and I'm truly impressed by what's going on there. And I don't know if they need to double down.
I'm gonna do the Thor Ragnarok. Is it though face right now? Because
is it though? You're gonna give it face?
Is it? Because
I'll just bring up the X screen again, because like
you're all at the mercy of the internet connection, and it's still not that great. I tried playing some xCloud gaming when I was on a family trip a few weeks ago, and it was really good, but it wasn't perfect. And sometimes I don't want to worry about how good the streaming is. Sometimes you just want the hardware in the box. Right, you just want to know that that you can download a game onto it and it's going to work without with no Wi-Fi, regardless of what internet or cell connection.
You're playing a version that doesn't have to deal with like latency issues and stuff like that. And this is like I personally have that same take, Gary, where it's like I think it's a great aspiration that they're trying to keep up with, and they're keep giving updates on it, which is really awesome. I personally don't know if anybody really has the technology to really pull it off right now, even with just like connecting my phone to the PS5, putting the backbone on there. I'm not playing anything more that's like than just like a turn-based game. I'm not trying to play anything like action heavy and stuff like that. I don't love the latency. Usually there's like buffering problems and stuff like that. So I think xCloud is fun for what it is. I personally
and I've said before, I feel like the aspiration for it is great, and the internet architecture is going to get to a point where we don't even think about this anymore. I do think that right now, unless you've got a ninja internet connection, I've got an incredible like gig fiber internet connection here at home. If I were to stream a game on my phone here right now over xCloud, it would be flawless. But where I was trying it a few weeks ago, we were at an Airbnb, we did a family trip, and it was on like the guest Wi-Fi, and who knows like how good their Wi-Fi is, and it works, but it was a little bit jittery. It wasn't the game experience I wanted to have. So you're always going to be at the mercy of like whatever internet connection you happen to have, like wherever you are. So I still think there is an argument to be made for handheld box where all the hardware is local inside the box, like a Steam Deck, where you can just internet, no internet, doesn't matter what you've got, you can just pick, as long as you've got it already installed on your hard drive, you can play it. So I don't think it's necessarily part of like Microsoft's roadmap. I just think it's interesting to speculate about.
It's going to be interesting. Let's finish out the show with one more piece of news, since we've been having some fun with Mr. Gary Whitta and our good friend Barrett Courtney, our producer. Right now, guys, we got a Forza Horizon 5 full map reveal. That's right, during episode 5 of the Forza Horizon 5 Let's Go Live with Playground Games. That's a whole mouthful, but of course, you can keep up with all 5 episodes over on their YouTube channel, where they're showing off all the fun game stuff. They showed off different biomes. They showed off a community Q&A. They showed off a new racetrack and a brand new car, the 2020 Toyota Supra GR. And best of all, they showed off the official map of Mexico for Forza Horizon 5. Take a look at it. It is 1.5 times bigger than Forza 4, and there's a lot going on, Gary Whitta. I'm talking beaches. I'm talking dunes. I'm talking a giant volcano to jungles and waterfalls. You got a big stadium. You got an abandoned racetrack. You, of course, have the Forza Horizon Festival setting as well. But man, oh man, they showed this off, and they showed some different pieces of the map. But as you take a look at this, November can't come soon enough for Forza Horizon. I am so excited to go out there and drive with all of my friends.
Yeah, it's looking good on the Series X. That's gonna crush. I still wish they had done Japan, maybe next time, but I think this is gonna be good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gary. I really wish it was, but I got to say they really showed off some cool stuff, right? The idea of driving coast to coast, driving up the volcano. There's 2 sides, one with the switchbacks of asphalt, and then the other side is dirt. And then they said you could just jump off any side of the volcano and catch major air. There's a beachside golf course that I'm going to look to rip up with my friends. Maybe they'll add like golf carts one day, Gary. That would be pretty funny and dumb.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. I really hope they bring the Warthog back because that's my favorite vehicle to drive around in, truly and honestly. There's an airport in the jungle that you can go out there and drift on. There's a Baja circuit. You got the different temple runes. I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited to jump into this. And so they showed off the full map. You can go check out the full HD version, click around, look at all the different stuff that you can be excited about. But some great drift opportunities and a whole lot of fun racing ahead, which I can't wait. So definitely wanted to make sure we highlighted that. But with that, Gary and Barrett, it's Friday, like you said, Gary. We got to get the heck out of here. It's time to go enjoy the weekend. Barrett has stepped up and has done an incredible job on the episode today. We want to give a big congratulations once again to Parris Lilly, who will be co-hosting the Xbox at Gamescom presentation. Congratulations again, Parris. You are truly incredible, and we're cheering and rooting you on. We know you're going to do great, and we can't wait to see the fun that you're going to bring over at Gamescom. Remember, that's 2 weeks from now. We'll talk about it again next week on the show. But for now, this has been another episode of the Kind of Funny Xcast, your home for all things Xbox here at Kind of Funny. As we round it out, Gary, what dope stuff are you doing this week? What do you want to tell the people about? Where can they find you?
I mean, I don't know what I'm going to be playing yet this weekend. I know I'm going to be streaming something. You know, me and my friends have been really enjoying getting back into World War Z in anticipation of the big Aftermath content drop that's coming, I think, next month. Again, we'll be playing some retro games. I don't know what it's going to be. And again, coming back to the top of the show, too many games. But you may want to check me out on twitch.tv/Gary Witter. I stream all my games over there. Twitter and YouTube, it's the same. Just my name, GaryWhitta.
Love that, Gary. Barrett, I know you and I will be sad that because we can't play Metal Gear Solid 2 until we're on stream next week. But what will you be playing and what you'll be doing this weekend?
If I can squad up with y'all in Splitgate at some point this week, I'd be very happy. I downloaded it.
That.
I'm down to play that. The more you guys talk about it, like I said earlier, the more I'm like, I need to get in here and get some first-person shooter action going on in here. I'll probably be playing some Skate 3. I got a couple other games that, again, aren't relevant at the moment that I should probably be playing on my own time. Want to check out Boyfriend Dungeon, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You can follow me at SadBoyBarrett on most social media. I don't stream as often as I used to over on twitch.tv/SadBoyBarrett, but I stream there every once in a while, playing whatever the heck I'm in the mood for, right? And then also shout out this weekend, I'll be on Simply Sassy's upcoming episode of Out of Our League, talking with those jabronis over there. And then I know this isn't Xbox related, but I will be on Jonathan Dornbush and Tom Mark's Take Your Time podcast, which is their weekly Persona 5 Royal kind of spoiler cast where they play through the game week by week and talk about what they've done throughout the entire week and sync up the real life calendar into the in-game calendar, and they're slowly playing through that game over the course of the year. So I'm going in there to talk about a certain dungeon with them this weekend, so that'll be very fun to discuss with them. So I just wanted to shout those things out as well.
Love that.
What's going on?
I will be playing Splitgate, and I'm actually going to take advantage of the free play weekend this weekend because they have AO Tennis 2. And Gary Whittle, let me tell you what, I miss topspin tennis more than the next jabroni, and I love getting out there and swinging forehand and backhand and serving up some nasty aces. So I'm going to check out AO Tennis 2, see if I like it, and I'll report back next week on that one. But time to get the heck out of here. So everybody out there, thank you for watching and listening on all of the different services of your choice. Please be good to one another, play a bunch of games, and have fun out there. Peace.